What up? Welcome to another episode of Two Lost Conversations. This is where we get to know our community a little better, feature some of our artists, get to learn their story, understand their journey, some of the trials and tribulations. And today we have another really talented artist by Rachel Hardy. Thanks for joining
Hello.
us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just start out with a little bit of background about yourself. I know that you're from Canada, but you're living in the States now, right?
Yeah, I'm currently in Seattle. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, and I'm
Okay.
actually primarily a composer and music supervisor, but I've always loved doing music on the side, so I do a lot of covers and things like that.
That's amazing. So that is that what your 9 to 5 is? Because I know we had to wait until the evening to have this conversation. Is that the 9 to 5, or you're a composer full time?
Yes, yeah, I do have a full-time job. I work at a video game company, so that's that's
Nice,
that's what I do during the day.
nice. And then you also have a pretty large YouTube presence. When did that start, and how did you build that?
Yeah, so I got into that by complete accident. I started that when I was in high school. It's actually almost been about 10 years. I think I started when I was 16. And I was just putting videos up for fun, kind of for my family and friends. And they just kind of took off a little bit. So I kept doing it and still doing it today. And it really helped me because, I mean, it helps to have that kind of side project, side income when you're getting started in music. It's really valuable.
Mhm. And what is kind of now, you have a full time job. Do you still keep up the YouTube presence? And what is like do you have a regular cadence for video releases, or is it just kind of when you have an idea or when you can?
Yeah, it's slowing down a little bit. I think I've just got a lot on my plate. I think probably
Mhm.
my peak time for YouTube was probably a year or two ago when I was pretty much doing that full time. But I still really enjoy it and I love doing videos whenever I have time to put something together.
Nice, nice. Now, what stands out to me the most is kind of, you're heavy into doing cover songs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What is like your approach, or do you just love covering other people's songs? I guess what is just kind of the interest? And I mean, the cover songs are amazing. Obviously, you're super talented, but why so many cover songs?
I'm honestly a huge nerd for anything kind of like fantasy, so like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, like stuff like that. So that's kind of where it
Hmm.
started is I started doing songs from, movies and shows that I really liked. And then
Hmm.
as people started watching that, I kind of got caught in my own niche. So that was kind of an accident too. I never kind of set out to do cover music, but I do really enjoy it and it's a lot of fun to take songs that I really like and remake them in a new way, try something
Hmm.
different. Over time it's kind of evolved into just movies, TV shows and game music in general. It's not too
Hmm.
narrow of a niche, but yeah, still really love all of that stuff.
That's super cool. A lot of times, what I found through other conversations with creators is they were just having fun and just kind of fell into it, and things just started picking up. So I just encourage people to just be active, be yourself, do what you love to do, just consistently create, and you just never know like what is going to bubble. What was kind of the first piece of content that took off more than you expected it to take off? It was just getting more views than you expected.
It was this cover from one of the Hobbit movies, which I don't even like the Hobbit movies. They kind of infuriated me a little bit, but I did this one cover and at least at the time it took off. I think I got my first like 20,000 views and I was 16. So that was like, that's so many
Nice.
people, it's pretty crazy. And then that kind of, I think it got to like a million views. And that's kind of when I was like, oh, I should probably keep doing this. But that was the one that kind of jump started that. I don't know how people found it or why it did so well, but who knows?
So that's the other piece of it. Like, a lot of times people just don't know why it took off. It
Yeah,
wasn't like there was this plan. They didn't run a bunch of ads.
right.
It wasn't very strategic. It was just like, hey, we'll put this out, and for some reason it started, the algorithm took a liking to it, and people started positively commenting or liking, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. So that's kind of what
Yeah.
what you're saying's happened to your song as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why I always kind of it's always good to put things out there because you never know what people are gonna kind of attach to, what people are gonna like.
Sure. So on my other podcast, I interviewed an artist named Queen Herbie. I'm assuming you might be familiar with her because they were formerly in the group Carmen.
Oh, okay. No, I'm
'Cause
not. I'm not familiar.
okay, well, they it was a group called Carmen. It was at the time they weren't married yet, so they were a couple that they did a Chris Brown "Look at Me Now" cover,
Oh,
and
okay.
it took off like crazy. It started getting like tens of millions of views, and then
Oh,
eventually
wow.
snowballed into them getting signed to L.A. Reid's label. But anyway, I only bring that up to say, like, part of that conversation was like you know, what they felt like they learned doing covers was just learning kind of the anatomy of a hit song. And I
Yeah.
know that you're not necessarily like doing like hit songs, but it seems like there's quite a learning process as you kind of reconstruct these songs on your own. What's your experience been like as you kind of study these songs and do them yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it really goes hand in hand with my job because I'm a orchestral composer, and a lot of that overlaps with movie music. And, you know, even with some of the covers I do that are a little more pop, sometimes I'll do a more orchestral take. But yes, recreating songs and just learning how they did something is super valuable. I mean, I never really took any classes or anything on mixing. It's pretty much just from doing it and trying things
Hmm.
and trying to replicate sounds that I hear in the songs that I love. So yeah, definitely. I've
Yeah.
learned so much just from YouTube doing my videos.
Nice. And in that answer, you kind of answered my next question is like your approach. So your approach to these songs is not necessarily to recreate them as is. You kind of have your own spin to it. Like, how do you think about giving it your own like Rachel Hardy flair? Like, how are you thinking about it?
I'd say it's half and half. Some months I could just get really lazy and I'm like, I'm just going to recreate it how it is, you know? But other months I try to do something a little different. That's always the tricky thing. I usually start by listening to what other people have done, listening to other covers and kind of figuring what elements I like, but I also don't want to just copy one version. One of the things that people kind of not make fun of me for, but I'm known for making things a little bit moody and down tempo. And it's just one of my
Okay.
like styles, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what kind of twists I give things, to be honest.
Yeah. So that's what I believe that artists, if you have the, desire to do it, like I think covers still work a lot because,
Yeah.
obviously, especially if you're covering something that's already popular, sometimes people are curious of kind of how you're going to recreate it. Now, if it's terrible, obviously it doesn't work. But if you recreate it in a way that is cool or just different, I feel like,
Hmm.
it's not a cheat code, but since the song's already popular, you'll
Right.
probably get more people to at least give it a shot than maybe your own song that people have no
Definitely.
idea, what it is.
It's
Can you?
it
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, like, it's a super smart way to reach more of an audience just by, covering something, especially with stuff like TikTok and Instagram these days. It makes it a lot easier too to put that stuff out there without it needing to be so formal. But even
Hmm.
releasing it, I think people are intimidated, I think, by the copyrights, but it's not that complicated, really. It sounds really complicated, but you just got to get the right licenses and you're good to go.
So you're leading me right into my next question because that's what it would be like. What is the process, like the proper process for you to be able to cover a song and release it on Spotify and Apple Music? How do you legally do that?
Yeah, to distribute music, it's easy. Man, I now I'm getting in my head. I'm not sure like all the ins and outs of the copyright, but you just need to get a cover license and then I think you're just good to go. Mm,
And and Two Loss. I mean, not this is the Two Loss conversation. I'm going to plug Two Loss.
yes,
How
100%.
do they make it? How do they make it easy for you to get this cover license so you can do your thing?
It's super. I mean, one of the reasons I love Two Lost is you just go through the release as normal and then you check off this is a cover song. And then it says, do you
Mm,
need a cover release? And you click the button and that's it.
there
Super
you go.
easy. Yep. Not hard.
Nice. How many cover songs do you feel have you released on like Spotify? If you were to just
Oh
guess, or maybe
man.
that number.
I actually don't. No, at all.
You feel like it's more than 20, more than
Oh yeah.
30?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably getting close to 45 or 50,
Okay,
I
nice.
think.
And and a lot of those have some pretty good traction on Spotify as well. Are you doing anything extra to push these songs? Are they getting kind of traction on their own? Is it like, is the success from YouTube like bleeding over into the same songs to have success on Spotify? What's going on there?
I'm not really doing anything to kind of market my music, I guess, on Spotify besides YouTube. But even then, I feel like when I look at my statistics on my listeners versus viewers, they're completely different. So I'm not entirely sure if those listeners are even coming from YouTube. It's probably a small percentage. But yeah, no, I haven't done anything, and surprisingly, it's doing pretty well.
Nice, nice. So when you get the cover license with the master royalties that come through to your Two Lost account, is any of that getting put anywhere, or is it just on the publishing side, or do you
What do
get
you
the same,
mean?
or like do you get the same royalties as I would if I put up my original song?
I'm actually
Um,
not sure. I've never questioned it, to be honest.
okay, I believe you do. I think it's just on the publishing side, the
Yeah,
mechanical, where
I think you're right.
the copyright holders, the owners of the publishing of the original works will
I think
receive their.
I think you're right because I still own the recording itself. I think the only time that matters is if you're putting it on YouTube or something. YouTube tends to do splits sometimes. It's one of those weird ones. But when it comes to the actual just audio, I'm pretty sure it's the same as
Sure.
anything else.
So another thing that I'm a huge fan of in the independent space that I don't think artists do enough of is collaboration. I
Mhm.
feel like independent artists should be working together more. They should be cross promoting more, sharing each other's fans. I know that you have some frequent collaborators. How did you who are they, and then how did you connect with them, and like how do you guys work together?
Yeah, I mean, one of those would be Colin McGinnis. He's another YouTuber kind of in the same ish niche, and we've worked together a lot. I love collaborations. I find them really inspiring and energizing, especially when I have kind of a month where I'm not feeling as creative. I find it really pushes me to be more creative when I have someone else who's also kind of like working with me or relying on me, I guess, to do certain parts of it. No, I think collaboration is one of my favorite parts of doing YouTube and music, just because you get to get that extra kind of approach to the song. It's not just you. You always get these new ideas, and it's really fun to kind of mix those together, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you talked about it kind of from a creative standpoint because I'm not an artist myself, so I'm always looking at it kind of just from a business and a marketing perspective
Gotcha.
because obviously if you guys are working on something, you have your fan base, he has his fan base, but when
Yeah.
you promote it together, and I'm assuming like on Instagram and TikTok, you guys are doing like collaborative posts and things like
Yeah.
that to
A hundred
to get it
percent.
out there.
And that's exactly it from like the marketing and business side as well. Like it's you're getting free access to their audience and they're getting free access to your audience, and that's a really great way for your audience to grow, for people to know who you are and know that you exist. Um,
Yeah. I can't think of a better piece of promotion than one artist like authentically like validating or sharing another artist with their community because there's already trust. You already have trust built with your audience, and
yeah,
they trust you with your music. And so if you invite another artist into your world, they're gonna give them a look for sure.
right. Yeah. And it can be
So
simple. It doesn't have to be like a whole, like, you guys don't need to write a whole song together if you don't want. You could invite them on for a feature. Or I know, at least in the YouTube community, there's kind of this mentality of like, if I do some vocals for you, like, I kind of have like an excuse to ask for vocals back,
mhm.
like there's kind of like this trade going on where, I mean, I'm not saying that people always expect things in return, but there's a bit of an attitude of like, oh yeah, I'd love to help you out. Like, they'll do the same for you. And so it doesn't need to be complicated, is my point. It can be super simple and it's really fun. So
Yeah, don't overcomplicate things and don't make things weird. Don't be a
Yeah,
weirdo.
totally. 100%.
Because I'm sure you've ran into a few weird situations. Like the music industry is just kind of a weird industry, and you just kind of never know, what vibe people are on, and I know it can get
Yeah.
a little messy at times.
Sometimes
So
I run into people that, I work better with or people I don't work as well with. And, that happens. But that's why once you kind of find someone you work well with, you tend to work with them a lot, at least in
mhm,
my case.
for sure, no, that's amazing. So this year, what does this year look like for you? Do you have any kind of goals for what you want to release? I mean, since you have your full time job, there's probably less pressure on you to like make this a living, right? So how do you approach? Do you want it to be your full time eventually? Like how are you looking at it?
I'm not sure. I think I'm actually kind of looking into expanding who I work with on my channel just to take a little bit of the workload off. Currently, I'm doing all the video editing, all the mixing, all the producing. I'm just doing literally everything from step one to the end. So one thing
Mhm.
I'm trying to do this year is kind of outsource a little bit of that. But as for the music, I guess just keep doing what I'm doing. I don't know.
Nice.
I'm trying to catch a few more of those fresh releases as they come out. So I've got like movies that are coming out kind of on my schedule and keeping an eye on them, seeing what's new. And that takes some time, but it's definitely interesting to see what's coming out.
For sure. If you could snap your fingers and just have like your dream collaboration, what artist would you love to collaborate with?
That's a great question. I don't know. I have no clue.
Who's
I've
it-
never thought about that. I feel like I should know, but I don't know.
well, who's your favorite artist? Whether you'd want to collaborate with them or not, who do
Well,
you?
I mean, this is never going to happen, but like my favorite band, I love 21 Pilots. And every year I do a huge 21 Pilots cover where I'll collaborate with people from all over the world. So I'll try to get people from all different countries and we'll each do a little part of the track. It's always super fun, but I guess I mean, I'm never going to collab with them, but it would be cool.
Hey, yeah,
We can
you never
pretend.
know. Give me a little bit. No, give me a little bit more details on that. So, what is it that you do every year?
We do a cover. We usually do a cover every time a new 21 Pilots album comes out. We'll pick a song and then I will go hunting on YouTube for like, bassists, drummers, guitarists, vocalists, all of those different things. And then I'll get a team together and we'll each do a part and then I'll mix it all together and we'll all film. And it's a lot of work, but it's always so worth it. So fun.
No, that sounds super cool. So it's only when do they normally drop an album once a year? Is that kind of their
Yeah, once a year, once every 2 years or so.
okay?
Yeah.
That's a that's a really I really like that collaborative idea. I don't know if there's
Yeah.
other bands that you like just as much, but if you did that, and I know it's a heavy lift,
Yeah.
but that's a really cool idea to to unite folks that are talented but also share the same interest in a particular artist or band.
Yeah, it's
That's
always super fun. Really fun to meet people too from all over.
Yeah, no, for sure. Is there anything that, if you could, I know that you just mentioned that, you just would like to outsource a few things so that you're not doing everything. Is there anything else that is kind of frustrating as an independent artist that you would like to change in the near future?
No. Honestly, most of my I'm currently dealing with a lot of YouTube issues, copyrights and stuff
Mm.
like that, incorrect copyrights and stuff. So it's not really, I mean, that's more of a YouTube thing. But no, I mean,
I would like to
I've had,
change that too.
yeah,
YouTube is a pain in the ass sometimes.
it can be. But no, I mean, I've had a really good experience just doing my thing, collaborating with
Nice.
people, making music. It's been a great experience and no complaints.
Nice. Well, this has been a great conversation because, you're just like super comfortable, super happy with how things are going. You have your full-time job and you're just doing what you love, on the side and having fun, collaborating with
Yeah.
people, making dope music. So this has been a really refreshing interview. I appreciate you taking the time to
Yeah.
share your story.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so
Keep,
much.
Can you just share with people where, where they can find you on social media?
Yes, my name is Rachel Hardy. You can find me on YouTube. I don't even know my socials off the top of my head. Rachel Hardy Music on Instagram, and on Twitter, I'm Rachel Hardy 306. They're all different handles and it's disastrous, but yeah.
Cool. Well, this has been another episode of Two Lost Conversations. Lots of great insights into cover songs and collaborations. So make sure you check out Rachel Hardy's music, another Two Lost artists, and we will see you next time.
Cool,
Peace.
thanks.